Yo, what's up, guys? It's the Insane Game Freak here. So I'm at work. Last night I was on KG Prestige's stream, which I believe was on his second channel. I'll link it in the description. So I didn't really get a chance to do my own specific video about how I feel about the latest Pokemon news, which is our new games for the Switch. Well, technically it's the second game if you don't want to count Pokemon Quest. No one gives a fuck. Anywho, so we now have that Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee is confirmed, and I may not get a chance to talk about this like the way I want to, so I'm going to go ahead and make this quick video that will have no edits and whatnot now. So the first thing I want to really address is that this has probably been the most underwhelmed I've been by a game announcement from Pokemon since I think this might be to me the least hype of a Pokemon announcement. And the main reason I'm wheezing. Wheezing. All right, I'm gonna stop. My main reason is because it's a game that I've played before. I've actually played twice. Actually, I played that like 3 or 4 fucking times because it's a remake of Yellow, which is essentially just Fire Red, Leaf Green, which is essentially Red, Blue, and Yellow. Again, there's nothing. It doesn't, and it looks like it's going to be a bare bones remake, where it's not going to be something super interesting or super developed. It's going to be a lot of the same old, and although that's not terrible by any means, it's also not incredibly interesting or engaging. I know people are kind of excited because it's our first 3D Pokemon, even though it's not. It's our first Switch Pokemon, even though it's not. It's our first core Switch Pokemon game. There we go. That's what we had. There's not a lot to it that really would make me excited personally about it. Like, it's not bad. I think the art style looks great. I think the idea of having Pokemon in the overworld is cool. There are elements of this game that I do like. The Go mechanic, and I think the realistic thing people need to realize is that this game is not for the core fan base. The best announcement of last night, like I said on Twitter, is the fact that they announced that the mainline game is coming next year. This is a stopgap game. This game literally exists because Nintendo was like, we need a Pokemon game out this year to sell some Switches, and Game Freak, what you got for us? And they were like, look, we can't do mainline stuff, but this would be a good way to experiment on what graphical style we'll use for the mainline games. So here's a remake of Yellow that has all of its setup. They literally don't have to do anything but just translate it into 3D, which they've already been doing for 2 games now with Sun and Moon. Actually, more than that. Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon, Oris, and then X and Y. So they've already gotten used to 3D modeling. I'm glad to see that they had the common decency not to rush out a new Pokemon game for the sake of as a new system. I mean, to be fair, you could argue that it is what this is. This is just more of a lazy man's translation, and they're still including elements that aren't normally in Pokemon. So even it's still innovative in its own right. It's just not for me. It's not for me. It's for, I don't know how many people have mentioned this, but like if you notice, a lot of the older fans, they play Pokemon and they don't even finish the games anymore. There are a bunch of people who play Pokemon games or start them and don't even go through the whole fucking game. And I think this game is for them. The fucking casual fan who doesn't give a fuck about the lore, doesn't give a fuck about the mechanics nowhere near as much as everyone else does, and just gives a fuck about the most basic primal aspect of Pokemon. Catching, maybe some light training, and some battling. That's it. We also now know, because Masuda himself has said it, that there will be online in the game. It won't have ranked matches, but you'll have like traditional online. The other thing that's interesting is apparently the online isn't connected to Nintendo Online, which is very interesting. That tells me that Nintendo Online is not a restriction for every single game for the Switch. Either that or Pokemon Company just supersede the fuck out of that, because how dare you make me pay for online on a Pokemon game? But I don't know. We don't know. We don't know. Anywho, for me, the way I look at Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee is Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee is a continuation into the console line of spin-off games. So I would put this in the same tier as Coliseum, XD, Battle Revolution, Stadium 1, Stadium 2, that line. Even though it has more elements of a mainline Pokemon, it's essentially just a variation of a spin-off. It's not anything that you would specifically need to concern yourself with if you've been playing this series for years, or if you're just you're just more of a core fan than you're more of a core fan than you are a casual. Because to me, this game is made for the casual, which is why I'm not super excited about getting it if I'm going to get it at all. This is like the first game in a while where I'm like, I don't even know if I care about buying this game. And it's purely just because it's not a game for me anyway. This series, these, and listen, if you want to do that from now on, have a Let's Go series that's more for the mobile fan. And some people would say, well, why would you do that? Why would you add in elements from Go? Because Go makes money. Go is still like in the top 5 selling mobile games. That game still prints fucking cash for Niantic game freaking Nintendo. So it doesn't make any, and those to me are the casuals. The people who are still playing Go are the casuals they're trying to get. The ones who fucking care more about walking around and catching Pokemon than actually caring about battling and taking over gyms and shit. Some people don't care about that stuff as much. And I think this might be a way to bridge the gap, because Pokemon games don't sell nowhere near as much as like that mobile game has gotten through. That mobile game has gotten a shit ton of attention, even though like even the mainline Pokemon games only sell like what, 30, 40 million copies around that. That's like the most they usually sell. That considered next to the 800 million that the fucking mobile game produces. I think there's just there's more casual fans. So if you have the Let's Go series for the casuals and have the mainline games for the core, and I'm hoping, I actually agree with what Tamashi Hiroka said on her Twitter. I really hope that means if this game is geared towards more casuals, that the core games will be geared towards more us core players. Because Game Freak has to realize at this point, Pokemon is that franchise that has transcended generations. Meaning there's a bunch of adults, teens, and kids who play this fucking game. So it would make no sense to make this super casualized version of Pokemon and not give the core fans what they want too. And I'm actually happy that they're not putting out the 2019 game earlier, because that means that, because look, Pokemon, and I've been saying this for a while, Pokemon suffers from being rushed. At this point, it's turned into this rush franchise in which it's constantly put out on a yearly basis as of late, and I think it's hurt the games innately. I think 6th Gen and 7th Gen are the prime examples for this. 6th Gen more than anything, and even Oris are all, and 7th Gen to a lesser degree, are all hurt by this weird, we need to put this shit out as quick as possible. Keep put them out. Because the games end up lacking a bunch of features, or we're missing shit, and it just doesn't feel like a core experience like it's supposed to. So, what my opinion is that, look, if you want to do a Let's Go series that doesn't take up a lot of development time, it's an easier thing to produce, and it doesn't cost anything, or it doesn't take away from the mainline series development, I'm perfectly cool with this. I prefer this than the fucking mystery dungeons and the Pokemon Rangers and the Trozees and whatever the fuck else. Conquest, I know people liked. I know people like those other games. I'm just saying, I look at Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee as a continuation of Coliseum. Right now, I'm in a very low of a fuck to care. Although people, and it pissed me off, there are people who think, oh, well, the mainline games are going to have that much creativity. This is what they're doing with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. What? Don't listen. As lackluster as the original Sun and Moon was because of its lack of content, it didn't feel like it was spread out as much as it should have been. Sun and Moon still blew me out the fucking water in terms of creative and visual design, because I was surprised at how much effort they put into the world and changing up how they did the game. Sun and Moon was fucking excellent. So to sit there and tell me, oh, because Pikachu, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee doesn't look on the same level of insanity, that means 8th gen is going to be weak as fuck. That is a poor justification. So don't fucking sleep on Game Freak just because this game isn't blowing people out the water. And at the end of the day, this is a game that you can easily skip. This is one of the first Pokemon games I could say you could skip as a core fan and you wouldn't lose a goddamn thing. And honestly, I think maybe we just need the break anyway. Game Freak needs the fucking break. Let them have the time to do what they need to do and come back on some next level shit. Because this forcing them to put out a game every year is going to kill them in the long run. It's already starting to in some aspects. A lot of the core fans were already kind of frustrated with them because of that. So that's just my thoughts and opinions on the whole situation. The games look fine. They have some weird design choices with the go mechanics and no wild battles and only using the 151. But it looks better than what most people thought they would do. And although I'm not into it, it's not for me. It's for you Go players. So hurry up and go. Get yourself a Switch to prepare yourself for the new games. And I'll be waiting until 2019 for the games that I really want to play come out. So those are my thoughts. This has been the Insane Game Freak. Life's a game. Let it win. And I will catch you guys later. Peace out. That was Ubuntu. No, it wasn't Ubuntu. It's a fucking OS. My God.